Alright, good day YouTubers, Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures. I'm wicked excited. Gonna do a video here today that I've been waiting to do for a while. This is a video about the Dakota fire hole, aka the stealth fire. This fire, I believe, is called the Dakota fire hole because it was named after the Dakota Indians that used to use it, and that mostly used it when the army was following them, hunting them down way back in the day. And it's a really good fire to use when you are trying to do low impact, or you're trying to, maybe you're hiking in an area where you're not really supposed to have fires. Sometimes when I'm being a real naughty boy, I'll use this fire in parks and in places where fires are against the rules. And in order to save time on the video, lots of time, I prepped everything we need, including the holes. All the work here was done with my Mora Bushcraft Black, and this stick is what I dug the holes with. We used the Mora Black to cut out pieces, and we saved them. I also, right here, this right here is a nice large piece of bark that I had collected. And I laid all the dirt we took out of the holes, I laid on the bark, and that's so after you're done, you can fill in the holes and make it look like nobody had ever been here, alright? And that's the point of the whole thing. So we're going to have a fire here, and we'll probably boil up some water. Maybe I should switch the shot up so you can see how the holes were dug real quick. And as you can see, those pieces, before we dug the holes, I took the knife and cut out around the edge and scooped out the pieces of earth that had the top on it, because that's important when you go to cover the holes up to be able to really disguise it. If you're in a place where the ground is really dry and hard, you're not going to be able to do that. But it's easier to blend sand in than it is soil. So let me change this shot right here. We'll talk about how we dug the holes, and then we'll put all the supplies in and start this fire. Alright, so here we are. You got two holes, and I usually have one hole bigger than the other, and that's just because it's a lot easier to get in with a stick to get that vent hole, because I like to use the small hole as my fire hole, and the other hole is just for air to go in. And these holes connect through. I don't know if you can see, but where they connect through too, I like the bottom of the hole that's venting the air in to be lower than the hole that is under the fire. And the reason why these fires really work so great too for cooking on and for boiling water, like when you're backpacking and stuff like that, is it draws air in from underneath, and it makes such a hot flame and hot coal bed so quickly. You only need really small branches and small little pieces of wood to keep this fire going, which is really handy because you don't really use much for wood. You don't impact the land very much, which is one of the points of using a Dakota fire hole. So as you can see, we dug this out. I took the big pieces out. We're going to put these back in afterwards. All the dirt is on the large piece of bark that I collected, so the dirt won't be all over the ground when we fill the hole back in. And now that you guys see how the holes have been dug, we got the smaller one over there. We still have to line the hole, because I like to put a little fire lay at the bottom of the hole, and that way the ashes and stuff will kind of gather there and not just clog up the hole, you know, so you get good airflow underneath it still. And sometimes I even put rocks at the bottom of it, right at the entrance of the hole, so the air is still coming through and that the ash and stuff won't collect. It depends on how long you're going to burn in your Dakota fire hole. If you're only going to burn long enough to boil water, then it's going to be, you're not going to have a problem. But if you're going to burn in a larger Dakota fire hole for the night maybe, you might want to put rocks at the bottom. And that'll also help with, if the ground's really moist, keeping your fire nice and hot. So let's switch the shots again, and I'll bring you over to the fire hole and we'll lay this fire in there and we'll start it up, strike a ferro rod, and get a flame hopefully. Alright, so here we are. I've already prepared all kinds of stuff using the Mora Black, and right here is a little combination of shaved birch bark. I shaved up the bottom of this right here just so the big piece will light, and then we got a little bit of white pine right at the crutch of the tree, so it's pretty sappy and pretty fat woody. So we shaved some of that and we feathered stick some of that, and some of it is dusted up that we used the 90-degree angle on our spine to make a really fine dusty shavings, and that should take a spark really quick. Now we're gonna put these off to the side here. And now these little sticks here, I just want to put down here as like a fire lay of some sort. This will kind of just give us a little area in here that we can build our fire on. Because again, you're building a fire in a dirt hole, so it's going to be moist in there, and that can put your fire out or make it not burn properly. So that's going to help out a lot. Alright, now I guess we'll go straight to lighting this thing. It's been raining the last 2 days, so everything is soaked, and that's why I put 2 tinders together, hoping that wouldn't be too much trouble for us, but we'll see. Oh, there we go, there we go. Wow. That was hard, much harder than it usually is. It's been raining for like 2 or 3 days straight. It's the first dry day I've had to do a good video. Now that should actually burn pretty good here. All this wood is really wet. And it has to be hot enough to actually pull suction from the hole before it's going to really get going. That's kind of the dynamics behind this whole fire, is that it pulls air from this hole and makes a draft that really makes your fire get going really hot. I mean, you can already see the draft is going. It's hot enough already that it's got a good flow going here. Trying to keep it all in the hole too, because remember we want to be able to disguise this hole after, so we don't want all kinds of ash above the hole line. Winds are blowing. Alright, that right there should be enough kindling and everything to actually get this fire going, and a bed of coals that'll be good enough to work with. Oh, smoked out there. But I was going to make a grill top as well. Because after you burn down for coals, you can easily put some green wood pieces across the hole and make a grill top for your pot to go on. Whew! That flame's getting close to the camera, actually. So once that burns down, I'll bring you guys back and I'll put the grill top on and we'll put some water on. Alright, so there we go. It's going pretty good. I got some pretty decent sized wood. There's enough wood in there to boil. I got two cups of water in the Morris pot, enough to make a freeze-dried meal on the trail. You just take some green sticks, doesn't really matter. They just have to be green so they don't burn. The 3 of them is usually enough. And hopefully they last long enough. Hopefully they last long enough to get a boil here. I probably should have used bigger green sticks. I mean, you can use as big green sticks as you want for the grill. But there we go. To go to fire hole. I'll bring you guys back, I guess, when the water's boiling. But it probably only take about 6 to 8 minutes to boil water on that if it's good and hot. And it's pretty hot. I can feel the heat. You see, if I blow into it, watch. See the smoke come out the other side. And that's good. That means the flow is good. And since the air is flowing in on one side and pushing the air up, you're getting a really hot heat at the bottom of that pan. Alright, so there we go. It took about 7.5 minutes. The water's boiling now. And now we're going to pack this thing up. And hopefully at the end it's going to look like we never had a fire here. Let's see how quickly we can do this. Use this. Put the fire out because I don't need hot water right now. As you can see, these green sticks didn't burn through. They lasted fine. But you're going to need to stick these in the hole so nobody sees burnt material on the surface. You don't want any burnt material on the surface. Alright, that. Oh man. See, you're trying to keep all of your dirt on the bark or in the hole. Unlike me, I just got some on the ground here, which you can kind of mix in anyways. But the point is to kind of do it in a way where nobody's going to know you were there. And then you got the piece you took off, got the piece right here we took off, and we even left some plants on it. Even left a couple living plants on it, so that should help disguise everything. And then the places that you got dirt off of the surface you're trying to contain dirt on. Obviously it's easier if you have a piece of plastic or a drop sheet, but you can just shuffle your hands through like this. Make sure there's no poison ivy or anything before you do that, of course. And there we go. No sign of fire at all. So, there we have it. The Dakota fire hall. Perfect stealth fire for stealth camping and, you know, those times you want to sneak a fire in places you can't have them. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures. Thanks again for joining me. Rate, comment, subscribe so you get all the latest uploads, and I'll see you guys in the next video.